Another Friday. Thank you for joining us. Um, we have somebody this morning that I think you're going to enjoy. We've received a lot of very nice compliments from everybody about all of our guests, and I think you're going to enjoy speaking this morning or listening this morning to Karyn. Karyn Millet is an interior architectural and lifestyles photographer. She started off with here, let me see, I think she's right here. Started off with a career in public relations and publishing. And then in 2002, she picked up a camera and a new career was born. So here is Karyn. Good morning, Karyn.
Good morning, Mark. Hi, everybody.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So I was just giving them a little background. I just want to continue with a couple more sentences if I can.
Sure.
You've probably seen Karyn's beautiful photography in all the major shelter magazines, such as House Beautiful, Veranda, California Home, Condé Nast Traveler, etc. She's also the recipient of the Stars of Design Award in Photography. CBS named Karyn the best photographer to follow on Instagram. And they should visit your Instagram page, Karyn, because there's some really stunning photography on there.
Thank you.
And you've also had four solo shows, and you've also had photographed four books. So, Karyn, how did you, since you started off in public relations, how did you, transfer into photography? What was it? What was that magic spark?
Well, Mark, I always say photography found me. I don't know that I was really looking for it, but I was looking for a creative expression. And when I was in public relations, I was at a magazine before that. I worked for Joe Ruggiero at Home Magazine.
Uh-huh.
And then I was 11 years in PR with these amazing hotels, Victoria King PR, taking journalists on press trips. And towards the end, I had a camera with me and it was film. And the pictures turned out. And then I'd make these kind of like scrapbook pages with a photocopier and send them to the journalists with memories from our trip. And I think if I wasn't a photographer, maybe I'd want to be an art director. So it kind of found me. And then I never really thought I could do the camera math. I'd been on so many shoots, having been at the magazine and then at PR, worked with amazing photographers at the different hotels. And the camera math always eluded me. And I remember that one day when I figured out aperture, shutter speed, ISO, and it all came together. It was with an orange orchid.
Well, that's great. So what do you think your signature style is, Karyn?
Well, I love interiors. That's my passion. And I like to say that the way I shoot is kind of a push-pull factor where you pull people in, you draw people in into the intimate details, whether it be, a flower in a vase or the texture of fabric on the arm of a chair. And then you pull people back and let them see how it all comes together in the larger room. And also the medium-sized shots, the vignettes that editors really love. They work in a vertical world. So I think it's that dynamic range of photos that I like to bring to a shoot. So
I think everybody loves looking at shelter magazines. They love looking at other people's homes or beautiful photography. And I'm not sure that everyone knows how much work and thought goes into creating a photo. I've been fortunate enough to work with you on photo shoots, and you photographed some of my projects, and they were just stunning. And they take hours and hours and sometimes days of work to complete. So when you're looking through a magazine, you see this beautiful photo and you think, oh, that's nice. And it's so much more involved than that.
Yes, that's true. And that being said, I think there's a rhythm to a shoot, too. So Yes, it takes a long time, but I think it's important to keep that rhythm and that pace going, that momentum throughout a shoot. And I use a lot of natural light, that's hitting me right now. I just love natural light. And so um, you don't want to miss that opportunity. So you need to move it kind of a quick.
Right.
And when back in the day, setting up a lot of lights, I mean, some people still do, it's a look. It's a different momentum for me. I like to, I mean, I just finished a shoot, Des Moines, from this beautiful home in Des Moines, and I delivered last night over 100 images, for her to choose from. So just keeping that momentum of it is a lot of work during the shoot. It's also a lot of work after the shoot, which that's a lot of people don't realize.
Right. So you're editing, you're adjusting color, and so forth.
Yes, yes, yes. Through
Yeah.
picking thousands of photos and merging them, into so you can see the view, you can see, a bit of the ocean outside. Not that it overwhelms the interiors. The interiors to me are always the star.
Yeah, and I know that's your passion is photographing interiors. So, in a photo shoot, I know in working with you, um, we're adjusting moving chairs, we're ironing sheets, we're moving flowers, we're changing the flower arrangement because what your eye see is not always what the camera captures. So when people are looking at a magazine, in reality, that photo has probably been adjusted. The chair that was supposed to be there may be in another room and something else was brought in. And so it's when you're talking about keeping this moving, it's a team of people to get this accomplished. And as you say, as it's changing, the light is changing in the room. And I remember when we were shooting in New York, it was a cloudy day. And then in addition to that, we had scaffolding on the outside of the building, which
That's
I
right.
never occurred to me. I just forgot about that. And then we didn't want this beautiful room shot, and you've got windows with scaffolding in them.
That's right. That was a real shocker. New York, you never know what it's going to be. But we just blew out the windows. It wasn't that bright of a day either, so it was kind of hard, to um, not see the scaffolding. But we chose our angles wisely, and it's New York, So
Yes.
yeah, it worked out. It worked out okay. But it's true.
So, Karyn, how does a designer um, go about selecting the right photographer for a job? What do you think? How should they approach that?
Yeah, I think that's a really important decision, and it's an investment of time and money, of course. So it's important to have the right person, and you only want to do it once, right?
Hmm.
You don't want to disturb the homeowners and go to all that effort. Just do it once. And I think really the most important thing is to find someone who is passionate about interiors, whatever the subject matter is. I mean, I didn't have an interiors photographer shoot my wedding, so um, it's really important that, I mean, I love interiors. I'm listening to you when I'm not, I'm listening to ICAA lectures. I love the subject matter, and hopefully that comes through. So I would suggest, finding someone who loves design and architecture.
Well, it definitely comes through with you. So I know from firsthand experience. And I also feed off other people's energy. I do with my clients. I love to get them involved in a project. I love their enthusiasm. I love to see them excited. And that's what's great about working with you is that you're so excited about it. And it makes us feel like we're doing something special. And just it it's nice when you can connect whatever business or industry you're in. It's nice when you can connect with people who are professionals, love their work, and are a pleasure to work with.
Mhm.
So one of the nicest things about you, Karyn, is that you're so lovely to work with. And I know that you work with a lot of designers, and you must have the patience of Job because A lot of times, I'm sure it's very challenging because designers are very opinionated about how they want things. So, and I know in working with you, I'd suggest something and you were very gentle about it. Instead of saying, okay, Weaver, that's a stupid idea, you'd say, well, Mark, I have a great idea, and let me show you what shot's going to look like. And so it's really a pleasure working with you.
That's
So, and one of the things that I have learned from you, and I think this is, for me, if somebody asked me, what do you think Karyn's signature is? Um, it's you capture moments and feelings.
mhm.
And what I learned from you, it's not just about photographing an interior or photographing a building. It's capturing small, you mentioned this a minute ago, it may be a flower on a vase. And I remember on our New York photo shoot, you took several pictures, one of a beautiful little Art Deco table. It was just a moment. And when this project was published, they had pictures of the room, but they also had these moments, these little vignettes that you had photographed. And I found those in some cases more powerful and more striking than the photograph of the room.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, thank you for recognizing that. And it's always such a joy to see what the magazines are then going to do with these small moments that I
Right.
really feel draw people in. And for instance, I remember I shot this beautiful flower arrangement in a Joe Lucas shoot. Trucial Home ran it, and they used that shot of just the flowers on the coffee table as the opener with the text over it, and it was just like a welcome to the story. Another time for Lux, I was out shooting the outside of the house, which you have to do, to show people what it looks like. And as I was walking in, I noticed these beautiful succulents, and I thought, gosh, Karyn, you have so many pictures of succulents. Do you really need another one? And I grabbed a picture of the succulents, and they ran that full page with the, welcome to the story next to the big architectural shot of the entryway. And it really made me so glad. So, thank you to all you art directors out there who noticed those and use them, because that's what they're there to do. And I love that designers relate to those like I do. And I think they should use them on their websites too, because I will guarantee you, I will show you a whole shoot. The comments will be about the small shots.
They are,
Yeah.
and Carol, if you're watching this, one of my clients made a comment several years ago when my home was published. And she said, I want you to go to this particular magazine because what they do, they feature exactly what you're talking about, these little vignette shots. And she said, I love them because I can look at that photo and I can see how the designer has arranged a table, how they've captured this feeling with what's on, how the pillows are arranged on the sofa. Just something as simple as that. She said these big grand rooms that are in a lot of magazines, I can't relate to. So I think and that's something I think that you didn't see 30 years ago in publications, because I think photography today is very different. Interior photography is very different than it was 30 years ago, isn't it?
Sure, I wasn't shooting then, but I can see. I definitely can see. Nowadays too. I'm shooting these amazing homes, but thanks to designers like you. I mean, I'm nothing without designers and architects. So thank you. But I'm going into these incredible homes and amazing art collections a lot of times. And you don't want to have a lot of gear with you and all that, and stands and things and that could fall. So we just keep it super simple, and we shoot to this really large 12-inch iPad. And it shows you what the shot is going to be. And like you said earlier, you can bring a chair in, or that's a lovely moment we're creating, but I'd rather the flowers be this, or lower.
Mhm.
So you can compose it together, and it's a collaboration, which I think is key.
So his um, as photography has developed over a period of years, do you find that technology has had a great impact on how you photograph, the equipment you use, and so forth?
Yes, I'm not really a techie person. I'm sure that there's some people out there laughing listening to this.
Well, I'm not either. It's all I can do to get on this Instagram.
Uh, but yes, I mean, I would say too on the back end with
Hmm.
Photoshop is um, managing your files and having your offsite backup and, not having to deal with, film going through an x-ray machine at the airport, all these kinds of things. I will say though, I do miss the Polaroids. And gosh, when I first started, I actually traveled around with a little tiny 4-color printer, and it would print Polaroids just to have a lot on a lot of my hotel shoots. It would be fun because then we'd put the Polaroids out, and kind of see the story coming together. So that.
Hmm. So you mentioned story. I know in talking to you, you had said what you try to do is to tell a story in your photography.
Yes.
So what is that story?
Yeah, so I love magazines, who doesn't, but I really love them. And so I'm always trying to see how all the pictures, look together. Again, that push-pull factor. And then I'll see if there's like a common thread, whether it's, a bit of yellow, or it's usually a color. It
Hmm.
could be, a texture or pattern or something that's kind of weaving its way through the story. So you've got an intimate detail that says, talks to that. I shot a house recently, and it had these wonderful, bright, yellow chairs on a very simple background. And so it was nice to have some blossoming yellow branches, to kind of tie that thread through.
Right.
So that's one way to tell a story.
So you had said something about you're so grateful to designers for having such wonderful work. One of the thing I think today, there's so many shelter magazines today, and I don't want to be terribly critical, but there's a lot published today that's very mediocre. It's not, in my opinion, it's not necessarily special, but it looks special when you see the magazine because it takes a great photographer to capture something in there. So it takes somebody like you with an eye to make something ordinary look extraordinary.
Oh, thank you. Well, sometimes maybe someone new has reached out to me and asked about a shoot. So, as we do, we look on people's websites, and I'll look and I'll see that the work, is good. Maybe needs a little propping here and there for the shoot, but I feel that it maybe wasn't shot with, the interiors in mind. And I feel like I could help, and so that's a calling to me is is helping designers, tell their story. Not,
Story. Uh-huh.
yeah, and a lot of times too, that involves bringing in things that the homeowner might not have purchased, but the
Right.
designer really wanted to, memoing things in. Sometimes, a moving van will be at the shoot and I'll know
Right.
the
Right.
right place.
Right. We
Um,
always have a supply of extra accessories and maybe artwork and so forth because not everything photographs well. The lighting may not be right for a particular piece,
yeah.
so that's always important. So you're sitting, looking very stunning in front of a great photograph of the Taj Mahal at Agra. So is this one of your photographs?
Yes, there it is, the Taj Mahal. Yes, I went with Barbara Orbach. I don't know if you know Barbara in New York. And
Yes.
yes, the two of us went a few years ago, and she had the trip all mapped out, and it was incredibly special. And this was an afternoon that we arrived in Agra. And then, as you probably know, a lot of people see it in the morning. Well, thank goodness I went in the afternoon because it was completely fogged in the morning, and I wouldn't have gotten the shot. So it's in our dining room.
Oh, that's great. So your work takes you all over the country and internationally as well. So can you share with us some of your projects? Because I'm sure people would love to hear some of the things that you photographed.
Sure.
And you don't photograph just interiors, you also photograph products. You've done work for Is it Travel and Leisure, Departures, other magazines?
Yeah, well, having my travel background with the hotels, it's sort of, merging that with interiors just is kind of a natural thing to do. And my previous firm has hired me too, which is great. But one favorite was Ballyfin in Dublin. It's on the outskirts of Dublin. It's this amazing historic house there that's turned into a hotel. So that was incredible. Photos ended up in Trishul Home and some other places too, but that was a real joy. And then more recently, my husband and I, we went to Playa Grande, which is Celery Kemble's beautiful, beautiful resort that she designed in the Dominican Republic. She's working on a book.
Hmm.
That was um, just a breathtaking experience. We actually, Dan's my husband. It's our 5th year anniversary today. So
Oh, you're kidding. Congratulations.
thank you. So we had an opportunity to be there for 6 days just on our own at Playa Grande before the shoot started. But it was so beautiful, I couldn't not shoot. And so by the time Celery arrived, I think I had half the shoot already in my camera, which she was pleased about. But it was nice to share that with Dan, and he's very, very patient when it comes to
Hmm.
helping me find photos. We've been in Amalfi Coast, and I'm always the one kind of straggling behind getting the shot with my ice cream running down my hand because I want to get the shot. He's always an eye out for me, which is amazing, and he's very patient, and he's a good model too. Once in a while, he gets and does the swimming pool shots.
Well, that's great. You get to take your husband with you. So tell me, how are you finding in this world of pandemic? How are you finding travel right now? Because your photo shoots are taking you everywhere. Is this a problem at all for you?
Well, proceed with caution, I would say, and
Uh,
you know, certain airlines are better than others. I tell people I've always been like, Howard Hughes when I fly anyway, and I've been like wipe things down and, just the hotel room. I'm always what anyway. So I'm very precautious. So double mask, no, food on the plane or no service. So it's just you just kind of go into a very relaxed state. Put your movie on. You have your mask on, and I've been. It's been fine. It's really been fine.
that's great. So what projects do you have coming up? What work do you have coming up?
Well, next week, I'm excited to be shooting a beach house for Tom Stringer in Carpinteria. So that one actually was right before the quarantine started, and it's been put on, pushed and pushed and pushed. So I feel like very victorious that we've got this one on the calendar for next week. Um, and going down to the Grand Del Mar in Del Mar, shooting down there for Smith Firestone. Looking forward to that. And lots more. Every week it's a new shoot. So.
Oh, that's great. So a lot today that's published. The magazines love having celebrities or people in the photographs, and and I know one of the things that people love are pets. And I know when you photographed one of our projects in Malibu, you took a couple to my client's delight. You took a photograph of the dog walking through the front door, and it was we got so many compliments on that photograph. People had nothing to compliment us about the interior. It was all about how cute the dog was. So
uh,
that goes back to what you were saying about capturing a moment or a feeling and bringing people into the photograph. But do you do a lot of photography where there are people in the photographs?
not too many. More dogs. They are scene stealers. You're absolutely right. Um, but I like to have, eyes, someone to look at, and that a lot of times that is a dog. And oftentimes there's just this space that only a dog can fill in a photo, and I really miss when a dog isn't there. In New York too, we had that dog that was so sweet, and got a few shots of him. I think he was out with his dog walker. I couldn't wait for them to come back.
We'd come back, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. And then, I mean, a designer portrait is always fun to do, but sometimes it's nice to get, someone kind of arranging the flowers at the kitchen sink. I'll get a designer walking through a shot when they don't really know it, and I'll just go ahead and process it. Just why not? But, and I agree with you, with the celebrity thing. A lot of, your clients and then the homeowners I'm shooting they don't want people to know, who they are, or that sort of thing. So it's nice when we can put a dog in, it's a little bit of lifestyle, or someone.
Well, it also, it brings a human element into a photograph rather than it just looking like a stage setting. It makes it a home. It makes it the room come alive. It's like flowers in a room. For me, a room without flowers or art is an empty room. So
Agreed. Yes.
So you're very fortunate that you get to travel with your work, as am I, because that's one of my passions, and I know for you and your husband it is too. You had told me that I had asked you, what are your favorite places to travel? And you mentioned two very distinctly different places. I think London and Guatemala, right?
Yes, that is so true. Well, my father was from Guatemala originally, and I started going there in 2001. And honestly, that's where I decided to become a photographer. I was, taking salsa dance classes and Spanish, and signed up for photography at an internet cafe in Antigua, Guatemala. And I love going back, and my family, we've done some volunteer work down there, and we have friends, so it's definitely a passion. And then I've just always loved London. I mean, who doesn't? It's magical. I went to school there when I was a freshman in college at Pepperdine. They had a program, and it's just never left my heart. And there's a little hotel, number 16, that Kemp did, Ferndale Hotel. And there's no sign out front, just the number 16. And you feel like you're living in London when you stay there. And both places are equally magical for me, for different reasons.
And if, since none of us, well, you're traveling, but most people are not traveling for pleasure right now.
Right.
It's sort of, but if you had the ability to travel wherever you want, where would you and your husband take off for right now?
Oh boy, that's a good one. I know he'd say Hawaii again.
Well, that's probably what I would say. I'd kill for a week in Hawaii and just, breathe the
Yeah,
fresh, balmy air. And
it's so true. Somewhere with a beach would be really, really nice. In fact, for our anniversary today, we're just going to go take our dinner and sit on the sand and watch the waves, just to be local. But I would, gosh, definitely, our last trip before all this was to Honolulu, and we toured Shangri-La, which was just I mean, I have
isn't that amazing?
book, and I've poured through every page, and then to be there on my own and shoot, just casual pictures of it was just, it really filled the senses. So
Yeah.
I like places that are relaxing, but then also have a bit of design culture too.
Yeah. Well, one of the great things about photography and what you do is it allows us it just takes us away into another world. And I think especially today where we're confined at home, to go through and look at beautiful photos that inspire you is magic. But also to, it's like I'm looking at this photo behind you. I have never been to Agra, so it's one of my places that I want to visit. But I love looking at travel magazines. I love looking at photography because if it's well done, it makes you want to explore the world or the country, whatever. So I think you're very fortunate to be into a very exciting profession and career, and you're so incredibly talented at what you do.
Oh, thank
So,
you, Mark. That means a lot. I really appreciate it. I love what I do, and I'm glad it shows.
well, it does show, and you're a very special person, Karyn, and you're lovely to work with. So I hope that everyone that's watching will take the time to visit Karyn's Instagram page. So, Karyn, tell people how they go about finding you, other than on your Instagram page. Your website, perhaps?
Sure. It's just, my name, Karyn's with a Y, KarynMillet.com. I have the Instagram Karyn Millet. And I also have a little magazine called Crush, also with a K,
Oh,
Crush
right.
IMAG on Instagram. And I have a lot of fun with that. And new issues come out a couple times a month, and we'll do some behind the scenes videos on photo shoots that people really like. So those are the ways. I'd love to hear from everybody.
That's great. Thank you so much, Karyn. It's really a treat that to sit here and visit with you today
Thanks,
and
Mark.
not be working. Thank you, Karyn.
Bye,
Bye
everybody.
bye.